At least it wasn't freezing cold outside like it had been recently. Christmas was 3 weeks away, and weather this time of year was unpredictable. Another bolt of lightning helped Joshua see that if he cut through the field, he'd get to the station faster. He took a step onto the land and knee-deep grass. Heavy rain, tall grass, horrible luck. Looking down caused water to run off the rim of his Stetson, but he didn't care. His eyes were beginning to adjust to the darkness, which meant he'd been on foot for a solid 15 minutes already. The station was ahead, and he stepped up his pace through the field. As he made the clearing, he noticed a teen, maybe 16 years old based on her petite build, walking ahead of him. Was someone else stranded in this crazy weather? She seemed a little young to be out walking on a night like this. He started to call out to her when a flash of lightning blazed across the sky, and he caught sight of a man watching her intently from behind the trash bins of the gas station. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and Joshua counted 3 seconds in between the flash and the noise. That meant lightning was right on top of them. Joshua's pulse spiked as he spotted another man crouching at the edge of the field as the unsuspecting teen kept bebopping along. She must have no idea the amount of danger she was about to walk into. And Joshua didn't either, because he counted a third man closing in on her from the east. How many others were there? Based on the way she made the occasional stop to shake her arms or perform some other dance move, Joshua figured that she must be wearing earbuds. That wasn't her brightest move for a couple of reasons. For one, she didn't need to be wearing electronics in a storm. For another, it meant she wouldn't hear him even if he screamed at the top of his lungs. That would, however, alert the men bearing down on her like hunters closing in on a quarry. Damn, his shotgun was locked inside his Jeep. Dropping to crouching position, Joshua tried to make himself as small as possible, not exactly easy with his 6-foot, 4-inch frame, as he shifted all his attention to the teen. She kept her head down. She was wearing jeans that were plastered to her legs and a couple layers of tank tops, slick from rain. And she had no idea what was about to go down. The big question was how Joshua was going to get her out of this mess. Staying low was his best chance of not being noticed. He palmed his cell, moving closer. Could he call his friend Tommy Johnson, the sheriff? Probably not without being seen. The light from his phone could give him away. If the men saw him, he had no idea what they were capable of doing to him and the girl. Then again, an ill-timed bolt of lightning would have the same effect. His Jeep was too far away to run back and get his shotgun. The men would be long gone with the girl. He focused on the teen as he moved closer to the gas station. She had a tiny frame and hair for days that she was trying to wrangle into a ponytail. Even wet, he could see how thick it was. With her back turned, Joshua couldn't see the details of her face, but the rest of her looked straight out of an Abercrombie & Fitch ad. Scanning the area, watching the men, Joshua knew that this was a coordinated kidnapping attempt. Outnumbered by at least 3-1, Joshua calculated the odds of getting to her, and they weren't good. Could he use the darkness to cloak them both? One wrong move and he'd be exposed. She wouldn't have a chance on her own. He needed a plan, and yet there was no time to make one. If the men got to her first, it would be all over. No way could he handle 3 against 1 without a weapon of his own. He'd turned in his service weapon and had stopped carrying his backup since he spent most of his time with cattle on the ranch. Joshua glanced down at the gas container in his hand, sloshing around what little leftover contents were at the bottom. There hadn't been enough to get him to the gas station, but there might be enough to create a diversion, distract the men for a few seconds, and grab the teen. If he could get her into the convenience store safely, there'd be shelter and witnesses. That should scare these guys off. He hoped. Joshua tucked away his cell and then fished his emergency lighter from the front pocket of his denim jacket. With all this water coming down everywhere, he needed something that he could use as a wick. Nothing was dry. Lighting the plastic container on fire right next to him was too much of a risk. He cleared an area, poured a little of the gasoline out, and then rolled several times until he was a few feet from the container. Joshua flicked his lighter and then tossed it toward the spot. He didn't wait for it to light up. He bolted toward the teenager. As the blaze ignited,